Hey everyone. So this is going to be an interesting one and one that has been a long time coming. I am going to be inviting my really beautiful friend Ali, who has been here for me through possibly my hardest time ever. And I guess so many of you guys see me on social media and you know me as someone who is, smashing it in the business world. I'm living the dream life, like I'm doing everything seemingly that is so wonderful, but I've always attracted toxic and narcissistic relationships into my life. And that's something I don't really talk about. That is something that I'm here to talk a little bit about. I want to be honest. I have to speak my truth. And though I'm scared a little bit, like this is not just for me. This is for every woman and man who goes through this, be it abuse from like their parents as a child, or that they just keep inviting this into their lives and they can't get out of the cycle, or they're too scared to leave, or they're not sure, or they're confused. It is a real thing. And you know what? Until everything exploded and everything, like I started to get more confidence in myself and I started to notice that it wasn't okay. It takes a long time. It can take a very, very long time. So we can be subject to this for such a long time and be so confused, be so gaslighted, be so manipulated that we think that we're actually the problem. But then you have to speak to someone who knows what they're talking about. You speak to your friends and your family and they assure you that you're not crazy. It's a big topic. It's something that I know a lot of people are struggling with right now and always kind of have. But this is an opportunity for me to come out and talk about what I've been going through. And also to bring on Ali, who is going to go over like the 12 signs that you are with someone toxic, the 12 signs that you're in a relationship. She's just popped on now. That is not in your best interest. And I've just gone from one to the other my whole life. Like I've never learned how to cultivate that self-love within because of my abandonment wounds and my codependency issues. And just because I'm an empath, we naturally gravitate towards a narcissist because we give each other what we need, as toxic and terrible as that may be, and also very damaging. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, always. And we are this is an open discourse. Like, this is going to be honest. And I want as many of you to get what you can from this as you can, because in speaking about it, we grow. And here she is.
Hi.
Hi, Ali, beautiful one. I was just
Thank you.
filling everyone in. So this is my beautiful, amazing friend, Ali, who is a survivor of some horrific abuse of relationships, narcissism, to say the least. Her story is incredible. You need to reach out to Ali and follow her on TikTok to learn more. But Ali's been here for me through everything I've been going through the past couple of weeks, months, and I couldn't have had the courage to no contact and leave if it wasn't for her. So I owe so much to this woman, and I know that she'll be able to help anyone on this call who may be questioning their sanity, questioning if they're with someone who actually cares about them. So thank you so much for coming, Ali. And I know that this is going to be so exciting for people to be able to have their questions kind of answered in this. Like, am I crazy? Am I the one who is being, am I the one that's being bad in all this? And how we can distinguish fact from fiction when we're so fucked up, to be honest.
Yeah. So the first thing, like, whenever you decide to get with a new partner, the first thing they do is love bomb the shit out of you. I mean, oh God, goosebumps. Love bomb the crap out of you, for better lack of saying, right? And it could be like male or female. It doesn't matter if it's a male abuser or if it's a female abuser. They do the exact same things. It just depends on what level of severity that they're going to do it on, right? And I want to make it clear too to everybody that narcissism is a whole spectrum. Everybody is on it. And whenever it becomes damaging is whenever you start being combative, you're constantly criticizing, you're being abusive towards others, you're name calling, all that stuff. That's whenever it becomes severely abusive and damaging to other people. It's because you're then infringing upon others' free will, which is not cool, So like, how do you distinguish if you're actually like a full-blown narcissist or if you're just somebody who has narc tendencies, like we all do? is like, you may have to be a little bit bulldozy and combative and a little bit criticizing to people who are doing it to you, but guess what? You're always going to return to your kind ways. Yeah. You're always going to return to that normal self, because in your own being, you are not that cruel person. You return to your normal self. So when you're with an abuser, there's like, God, I would say like 12. Like, here's the different signs of love bombing that we're all going to go over, right? And that's the first step whenever you are with an abuser, is what do they do for you to show grand acts of love that realistically is not love in the first place? So they'll have like grand romantic gestures. They give extravagant gifts. They're always complimenting you. And this one hit me hard, was the constant communication. Yeah. Like, nonstop constant communication. And if they didn't get it within that time, they would be like, hey, where are you at? What are you doing? Who are you with? Type thing, right? They need all of your attention all the time, because they don't have somebody to validate themselves at all, and they don't feel that validation within them. They need somebody else to do it. They demand commitment super early in their relationship.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So they could be like, oh, let's go ahead and move in together, or let's go ahead and get engaged. Let's get this house. Like, those are things that are going to anchor you. And that's something a little bit different. So like, they demand the commitment from you very early on, and they resist your boundaries that you set within the first like couple dates. So say that you don't want to kiss, they're going to resist themselves and not violate those boundaries, so they look like the good person, right? They will claim that they're your soulmate or your twin flame.
Twin flame, that's a great one. Yeah.
Twin flame. If somebody says you're my twin flame, avoid them like the plague. Just get out of Dodge, run it like you're on fire. Just run.
Trauma bond. Right?
Yes, just run like you're on fire. If somebody says you're my soulmate or you're my twin flame within the first 6 months of dating them, they will say, I love you, very quickly, right? It can be anywhere between the first couple days, 2 weeks, or the first couple months. If they say I love you within those first couple months, it's a big red flag. They will say things that you want to hear. So say that you get in an argument with like one of your friends, or like you just had like a little bit of a tiff with one of your friends, and they will tell you exactly what you want to hear about that friend. Also, they're going to try to word it in a way to where they validate everything that you're feeling during that time, and they're also going to turn you against your friend. That's something that they love to do during the love bombing stage. They reinforce that fairy tale type of relationship that they have with you. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I found you. Where have you been all my life? We were so meant to be together. I feel like that we had past lives together. Like, a lot of spiritual people that are using it in a negative way are saying we've had past lives together. And they're saying, I could feel like that we are meant to be together. Maybe not right now, but we will in the future. It's something along the lines, right? They will make you feel like that you are being completely saved and completely safe the entire time too. It's just,
then drop you. Drop you.
100%. 100%. And then they will automatically put you in your future plan, in their future plans. So what they will do is like, I cannot wait to buy this house with you. I cannot wait to go on this vacation with you. I can see us doing this, and this together. Like, it happens very, very, very quickly. And the reason why somebody love bombs so quickly is because the person that they abused before that, they now need to get you, their new supply, caught up to where their relationship ended with that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. Gives me goosebumps. But that's what they do. Yeah. Like, my abuser, my ex-husband, he had me up and moving to all the way across the country within 2 weeks, and then telling me after that he loved me. So it happened very, very quickly. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that all abusers that I have found out throughout talking to so many women and men, that's so common, is they want to move in. They want to do this. They buy expensive gifts. They take you on vacation that they more than likely can't afford. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah, there's a lot of signs, and it's like we see them, but I'm so trusting, and I get caught up in that as well. And it's like they mirror exactly what you need. Like they figure you out, and they figure out exactly what they need to say to get you. And it happens all the time. Like I see it all the time now.
It
But
does.
it's just, it makes you feel, I feel so dumb now. It makes me feel so dumb
Mm-mm.
that I fell for it. But we want that. And they kind of see that you're wounded in that way, and they figure out how they can fix the wounds and get you really roped in. So you're really, really involved. Like I moved to America for this guy. As soon as the borders open, I was there, and I was dropped
Yeah.
almost instantly.
Yeah.
It was as if I didn't exist most of the time. And to go from, I want to marry you and have your kids, like we're meant to be together, to you're kind, like, I'm not used to living with a girl. I don't really, like, this is not great for me. Like, you're too much. Like, I don't know how to love, was damaging to say the least.
Yeah.
But of course, now it's all my fault, and I'm the abusive one and textbook. So just finding like I guess it's finding out the distinguishing fact from fiction is what we were talking about earlier, and figuring out like what the truth is and what's been distorted, so that you're getting confused and starting to question your sanity, because it gets to that point.
Yep.
Like I know who I am, my friends know who I am, but I forget. Like you need people to remind you sometimes that you're okay, like you were always okay, because it becomes so confusing. And
And
I
that's
don't know if people on here resonate with any of this, but
and that's where this comes in handy. The journal.
yes.
It is. It comes so in handy because, like, if you think about it, somebody who is constantly distorting your reality and manipulating it in a way to make you feel like that you don't know who you are, that you are completely devaluing yourself, you've lost all confidence, you're unhappy, you don't know what to do, but you feel stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their manipulation for so long is going to help in the journal, because
Yeah.
you actually get to see your thoughts and feelings during that time compared to what actually happened, and all the distortion that is going on between what he is saying or she is saying,
Yeah.
and what you are feeling, and validating yourself. That's why the
Yeah.
journal is so important. And the journal
Been,
actually will help with your short-term and long-term memory in the process,
mm-hmm.
because there's something, it's called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is like, it's whenever you have, like, think of it like this, like you have a thought up here, but it can't come out here, right? Your short-term and long-term memory get confused. So whatever happened, the perception, the short-term memory is where it should be stored. But if that's all fucked up by gaslighting, then the outcome, your verbiage, your relationships, the way that you respond to people, your communication skills, that's all going to be damaged. How you skip all that is with the journal. So you write down your thoughts and feelings, desires, any and everything. I have a negative journal and I have a positive journal. And I also have a dream journal. Like, I have journals all throughout the house. And I cannot express enough how important the journal is, because you can write down an affirmation that you love for 21 days, the same affirmation for 21 days. You could say it.
Yeah.
And then you can go on to write down the positive thoughts that you have. And then those memories of things that pop up randomly while you're doing the dishes, while you're just taking a shower, while you're doing something daily, a memory is going to pop into your mind, and it's going to be a negative thought of something that they said or something that happened within your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
When you journal, it leaves the mind, travels down the arm, goes through the pen, and on that paper. So then it is no longer in your life, right? It's no longer in your brain. So it allows more memories to come in that are good, and it allows the negative ones to leave.
I love it. And I've been doing that ever since you told me to. And journaling is so good, because I found journals that I was writing while I was in America living with him. And the things I'd forgotten, but I'd write things, and I'd have to write down what happened and try and make sense of it in my head. And I'd write letters to him, trying to plead with him about things that I was too scared to ever give him. And I was writing stuff about how, like, I just wanted to give up. I just didn't see any point. I couldn't. And it reminds me, even when I'm thinking of all the love bombing and the good things, how bad it actually got, and I'd cover it up to myself. I didn't really want anyone else to know how bad it was, because I was protecting him and I want to save him. But they just never have your best interest. at heart. They don't even like you, let alone love you. They don't know what love is. They don't have the capacity for love or empathy, is what I'm learning. And that's a hard thing as an empath to learn, that you've been invested with someone, sometimes for like 20 years. People marry these people and they don't give a shit. They just don't. They'll tell you they give a shit, but so it's a long road to recovery. Honestly, it's going to be quite a thing to, like you were talking about, like the brain, heart, and the connection there, and how it gets severed because we get so abused and gaslighted and manipulated that I was just so confused for such a long time. And I nearly lost like my business. I nearly lost myself in the process. And I know stories that are so much worse than mine in a way, like that I just feel I just want to be able to reach as many people and help them to distinguish what's right from wrong. Because if you're a good person, this could happen to you and you won't know how necessarily to get out of it because you don't have those boundaries yet for yourself. Like you don't know how to love yourself anymore.
Right. I did a podcast where I was with Erica Russo. She's an amazing psychic medium. And in her podcast, we were talking about empowered empaths and in a regular empath that hasn't been empowered yet. So the empowered empath has good boundaries. She stands up for herself. He or she stands up for herself. And he or she doesn't allow the things to slide anymore. Like they see the red flags well beyond advance. They see how people are trying to manipulate situations to benefit their own identity and their own sense of life, whenever realistically it's not benefiting the person that they're sucking the life out of, which is the empath, right? So in that sense, we were talking about how when you establish good boundaries and people don't like those boundaries, that's whenever you know that somebody never respected you in the first place.
Yeah.
You know? That gives me goosebumps every time I say it.
I know, because it's so true. Everything's hitting.
Yes.
Someone just asked, like, any advice on how to navigate a co-parenting relationship with someone? Ugh.
Yeah, so co-parenting, it is possible. I've seen men and women co-parent like it's their fucking job, and they do such an amazing job at it. There is a book, it's called Co-Parenting with a Narc. And then Dan, if you're still in here, Dan, can you go ahead and write that book, or can you list that book that you read earlier on my TikTok live? Dan, one of my friends, he's also a female narcissist survivor. And he read a book, and he'll list it here below if he's still in. And the book is absolutely phenomenal. But here's the thing with co-parenting with a narcissist, or even just dealing with a narcissist in your life on a regular basis, especially co-parenting. You know all that person's insecurities, you know all that person's weaknesses, and you know all that person's secrets. There are times where you will have to use that insecurity, that weakness, and that insecurity, weakness, and secrets against that person to stand up for yourself, right? It's gonna happen. But just know that that person that has been abusing you for a long time is not gonna violate that boundary, and you're gonna stand firm in that boundary. So there's also something else that you can do too. Responding and not reacting. So a narcissistic person, what do they want you to do? They want you to react, because they want you to seem like you are the crazy one. Yeah. Oh, look at her, she's yelling. Or, oh, look at him, he's going ballistic right now. See, you're the narcissist, you're the crazy one. That's what they want to instill within your mind. Whenever a person who is being abused on a daily basis does not respond in a way where it causes an emotional reaction, that's where the whole dynamic shifts, and the empowered empath then takes back control.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with the children too. You need to teach the children that it is not okay to be abused, and it is not okay to put up with this behavior that person who is abusing the whole family is enduring. So teach the children to stand up for themselves as well. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard thing to learn when we don't know how to do it, but it's important. I wish I knew when I was young how to do that and stand up to narcissists in my life from that age. So it's about education, isn't it? I suppose. And just seeing the flags before you dive into something, and getting yourself to the stage where you are empowered and you can no, I never allow that in my life again. Like when you get to a point, It's just something that's never gonna get into existence. But so many people ask me about, like, for example, with me, like it's always kind of turned round on me that I'm the passive aggressive one. Like I'm the one that he couldn't wait for me to get out of his life. He should have left me earlier. It's such a head fuck because you literally, it's like, how do you deal with questioning of your sanity a lot of the time?
That's where the journal comes into play.
The
So,
journal.
yeah. So, there are 12 signs for gaslighting. And my friend Sam Adamo, I don't know if you guys know who Sam Adamo is. Her handle on TikTok is What Does It Matter? She's a badass bitch. Like, I fucking love Sam. Her and I very rarely work together, but we were on the same page of level of uplifting men and women to getting them not to deal with people's bullshit anymore. She has this slogan, take no shit. Like, take no shit. So Sam today literally posted the 12 signs of gaslighting, and she did a put a finger down version, okay? 12 signs, you only got 10 fingers, so you need to add 2 more. So with that one, like, you lose all confidence if you're being gaslit these are signs that you are being gaslit on a daily basis. You lose all confidence. You make excuses for your abuser nonstop. You find yourself unhappy. You think that you deserve to be alone. That one hit me hard. That one hit me really hard. You always feel like that you make bad choices or the wrong choices. You don't think that you are good enough to do anything else in life. Like, you don't feel like that you're good enough to apply for that job. You don't feel like that you're good enough to be with somebody else. You don't feel like that you're good enough to be anything on that level, right? You think that everything that you do is wrong. That's another sign of being gaslit. You feel like everything that you're doing is wrong. You're constantly apologizing to people. This one hit me like right in the face. It's like, and I was just like, uh-oh. Because I used to say I am sorry at least 5 times a day.
Always.
Now I
so you don't anymore, right? You don't apologize anymore.
No. And my one sensei said to me, he's like, why would you apologize? Because then you're admitting that you are guilty. I was like, oh shit. Because if you say you're sorry to somebody, you are admitting to guilt, right? And that guilt can be something that you did not do, right? But you are constantly, like, for people who are gaslighting you, you're constantly being told that you did this, you did that, and then you say you're sorry. You're admitting to that guilt, but you didn't do that, right? That's gaslighting.
Easy.
I know, it's fucked up. Struggle to make decisions is another one. You will sit there and ponder of what you want to do in your life, and then you don't make the decision to do it. I see this happen in so many women. So many women. And men too. There's 2 men that I follow on TikTok that are absolutely amazing, and they did the same thing. They still have a little bit of struggle on making decisions. Easily confused.
These are all killing me. I'm like, oh my God. Until I left my ex-husband, I didn't know what to do in my life. I was completely stuck. I could not decide. As soon as I left him, I found everything. It's like that's the block for a movie. Like, you can't function. There's no functionality when you're being gaslit.
I know.
Damn.
I know. And that one hit me so hard. And there are still times today where I have to read something 4 or 5 times before I respond. So, like, people that text me, like, say a client will text me, right? I read it 4 or 5 times just to make sure that I'm not confused by anything and that I respond to them in a way that they need to. Because I don't want to say something to them that could damage them later. I'm just here to uplift, baby. Go ahead.
No, I love it. That's exactly what you gave to me. It was just like, how can we go up from here? Like, what tools can you do to find yourself again? It's just been also positive from going from something so dark and so soul destroying and negative and just like this entity that just took everything, to finding like strong women like you and other people in his life that are amazing, who have just come out of the woodwork. It's just been an absolute dream. Like, we're the light. Like, we know who we are. We came here to do a certain thing, and that's what you give to other women. You're like, babe, find your power again. Like, you're so powerful. Just
Yeah.
tap back into that. Where were you before this guy came into your life? When I thought, I was like, oh my God, I was flying high. Like, but they want that. They take, if it's they want a powerful person, don't they? They want to, they find someone in their prime, but who have those wounds they can detect, and they just hook in and take
100.
everything.
Yep.
So it's kind of a compliment if you're kind of sought after by a narcissist, because it means that you're doing well.
You're doing well. If you're being
Doing
sought
well.
out by a narcissist, let me tell you, because I've never met a single person who was weak-minded or weak in any aspect, and the narcissist went after them. They want strong, independent men or women. That's what they go after. I've never met a single one, and majority of them are fucking gorgeous. Like, I have some of the most gorgeous people in my life coming to me and asking, how can I get my crown back? Like, can you help me straighten my crown? Absolutely. I'll be there to help pick you up too and teach you how to swing that sword too. But it's insane. Like, I've never met somebody that was weak-minded or like damaged like these people put into their minds that they are, and they're not. They are strong and they're independent.
Mm-hmm. That hits, because every person I've spoken to who's going through this, I'm like, can you not see how incredible you are? Like, without them, think how how bright you can be. We've got shit to do. We're here to do amazing things.
Yeah.
So we've got to stop giving our power away to people who do not care about us, no matter how many times they say they want to marry us and they're sorry and you're perfect and it was never. But then just to flip it in a second and be like, everything's you're a disgusting human being, like, get out of my life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I
It
feel
really
sorry
is.
for everyone who has to go through this, but it makes us stronger.
It does. And there's two more other signs for gaslighting is you're constantly told that you're too sensitive. Let me tell you, your thoughts and feelings are valid. Every thought and feeling that you are experiencing during any time is fucking valid. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
And then the last one is you're constantly questioning yourself, or or you do it often. Like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I doing this? So like there's a huge difference between victim mentality and survivor mentality. Okay. Victim mentality is going to be like, why is this happening to me? Survivor mentality is like, okay, what the fuck is this teaching me?
We just choose the latter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you may go into victim for a few days just on autopilot, like I did. I was lying in bed, like, and I couldn't function. I could not function. I was dying.
Yeah.
And then someone just reminded me who the fuck I was, and I was like, oh shit, I'm back. No, what am I here to learn? They're here to teach us love. They're here to teach us to love ourselves more deeply. So it's a gift. I'm like, thank you for all the horrible people that have come into my life and taken from me, because it took until this point for me to be like, never fucking again. I'm here to help other people get through this. Like you are. Like, I'm sorry, this is not happening to anyone I know near me ever again. It won't.
I know.
No.
I know. And the sad thing is, like, there are so many men and women out there. Sorry, I keep getting texts. There are so many men and women out there that that I know personally that are going through stuff, but they didn't know that I was going through what I was going through at that time. Yeah. And then whenever I left my abuse and I found my voice, I opened up my throat chakra and I said, okay, we're open now. Okay. Yeah. I'm starting to use my voice. This is not okay. When I was doing that, so many of these people that I thought had the perfect life were going through the exact same shit. And
we don't want to admit it.
I know.
You don't want to admit it. It's so bad. Like, and you still want to save them. You want to protect your abuser. It's like Stockholm, right?
It is Stockholm syndrome in a way. Yeah. So trauma bond. Let's get into this. Okay.
Oh, it's so icky.
I know, it's so icky. It is gross. So a trauma bond is a bond that is created between the abuser and the victim or survivor. And when that trauma bond is strengthened, say that the abuser does something to them and they go into full out rage mode, right? And then they hoover you back in because they want you in their life. They can't live without you, but you can live without them. They can't live without you. They'll threaten suicide. They'll do all this other stuff to get you back into their life. Maybe I'll change. That's full of empty promises. You'll see a whole bunch of alligator tears. What that does is whenever you go back, it strengthens that trauma bond.
Yeah.
A trauma bond can never be broken, but it can weaken over time. Okay.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
how you weaken a trauma bond over time is by going no contact with your abuser or low contact if you are having children with them, or you do have children with them, or say that
Yeah.
you have a business together and that you need to separate the assets legally, right?
Yeah.
Or
I
to
have
figure
no
out like
choice.
how that's going to work. Somebody needs to buy somebody out. There's some legal trouble going on, right? If you are fortunate enough to not have children with your abuser, you can go no contact. Give yourself like a healing. Say like myself, I did 5 months of healing that I had planned. I was going to do this, this, and this every week. I was doing this for this moon cycle. I was doing this for this moon cycle. I was doing so many different things, and it got me to where I needed to be remember, be like, okay, I know who I am now, and nobody's going to fucking tear me down again. And then ever since then, it's escalated, and now I am where I am today because of that.
Look at you. You kill me with your, oh, you're just amazing. Oh, I can't wait till everyone is as strong and figured out as you are, Ali.
And
Because
they're
you've
gonna
been through
get
a hell
there.
of a lot.
There is a reason why my TikToks are the way that they are. I fucking love TikTok. I know that there's some people are so just like anti-TikTok, but my handle for TikTok is the exact same, and it's all about narcissism, and it's all about
I love
comebacks, how
it.
to stick up for yourself, different techniques on how to do things for custody, different techniques on how to undermine your abuser during court, how to stay focused. Like there's nutrition aspect onto there because you being so into superfoods and myself being so into superfoods, when you are with an abuser, your immune system is completely shot. The cortisol levels in your brain, which is your fight or flight response, they're all the way up, probably to the Andromeda galaxy. Like they're super high, right?
Yeah.
Your cortisol levels in your brain should not be that high. It should just spike every once in a while. So when your cortisol levels in your brain are high, there is another gland in your brain too that's going to shrink. So what you do to get your body back into its full function again while you are in your healing process, you eat superfoods, you eat microgreens, you eat sea moss.
Yeah.
St. Lucia sea moss, not Irish sea moss, okay? For everybody who's into that. You eat a ton of berries, get your hemp seeds, and I'm telling you, you're going to be on the right track.
Yeah.
But get those 5 things into your life
connected.
first. Yes.
I know. I'm so glad I've already been on the superfoods train a little bit because it has helped me so much cognitively, even though it's crazy when you told me about your brain, like a part of your brain actually shrinking.
Yeah.
But you can feel it. Like the confusion is so friggin' rife. Like, what is actually going on? So it makes sense. It's tearing your body apart in ways, and living in fight or flight all the time. Like you said, it will lead to things like heart attacks, like panic. A guy had panic attacks at night, but way worse. Like you can have a stroke.
Absolutely.
So it's going to make us sick if we don't step away from things that are hurting us. And this is the most hurt that anyone can possibly ever go through. But you're like walking into it every day, and it's so hard to leave. It is so hard. But no contact is the only way. And I broke no contact yesterday because of something I don't really want to talk about now that happened. So I had to break contact, and it was met with so much hate I wasn't even prepared for. So just don't break it. Just stay really strong, because it is hard, because it's an addiction, isn't it? It's like a heroin addiction.
Yeah. So whenever you leave your abuser, no matter if it is your parents, if your abuser are your parents, that is the hardest relationship that you will ever walk away from. If it's with a partner, it's going to be a lot easier in that sense, right? Because parents become number one. They've been in your life the longest. They made you. And then your partner comes along then. So when you're talking about relationships and things like that, the hardest one to break is going to be the parents. And then after that, it's going to be a lot easier. But once you start to stand up for yourself and you realize that little dignity that you may have left, it could be on the floor, in the corner, or in the fucking cabinet somewhere. You take that pride in your dignity and you'll be like, I deserve better. And you walk out that fucking door. And when you get that feeling, it's the most empowering feeling in the entire world. Entire world. But I'm going to tell you guys too, when you are being abused, There are so many neurons within your gut that your gut is going to be all over the place. You're either going to be severely constipated, you're going to have diarrhea, you're going to have severe stomach pain. There's going to be things that doctors cannot figure out. It's because the neurons in your gut are activated to be like, there's something wrong in my environment. I am in danger.
Yeah.
When we do not listen to our gut, our brain neurons get activated to be like, okay, we are in danger. We're going to have headaches. We're going to have migraines. We're going to have all these things go on. I know one woman that had developed a brain aneurysm during that time. So things do happen on a physiological level because we are enduring so much psychological abuse.
Yeah.
And then when we don't listen to our gut and our brain, guess where that goes? The neurons in the heart are activated, and it's like, I'm hurting so bad. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to start.
Yeah.
What to do.
It's so, and that's the hardest bit when it gets into the heart.
Yeah.
So the pain, but it's funny what you say about like the intuition. It's there from the beginning, like red flag. I like everything in my body was screaming, but that didn't override the fact that I had an addiction. So like I was even told several times when like, fuck your intuition. Yeah. But that's my superpower, you know. It's like that's taken away. And someone mentioned here, Ali said, can it cause problems with short-term memory? My memory is fucked. And he'd always play on that. I'd be like, I can't remember, because I'd be in such a panic or a mess about it. And he'd be like, what's wrong with your memory? Like, your memory is really bad. And I'd be like, no wonder my memory is so fucking bad. Like, I'm in constant fear.
This is cognitive dissonance, baby. Cognitive dissonance explained. We went over it. So there's your perception split. Your short-term and your long-term memory cannot go back to the perception in the way that it happened. So then it affects your relationships, your language, and what's that other one? Problem solving, right? So that's why we skip the short-term and long-term memory. We go down here and we journal, and then that helps with the outcome. But leaving an abuser is like coming down off of heroin.
Tell me about it.
It gets you so high during the love bombing stage that that's all that they want in your life. Liz, there is a lady, one of Ted Bundy's victims that he did not murder, that he emotionally abused for years. Ted Bundy's victim, Liz, said, whenever he's around, I feel like I'm on top of the world. And whenever he's not, I feel like I'm nothing. And when he was in jail, she was at her bottom point. Because she was not getting that dopamine, that serotonin to her brain that he was providing her. And it was like coming down off of heroin. And it's insane.
That's why people would rather stay and live and like wait for the fantasy, like maybe one day, and just live in that and self-medicate. Like I was high most of the time, you know, like people I've been speaking to were just drunk all of the time because it makes it easier, because the come down is real. It's so hard. That's why people like quit their no contact. They'll go like a few days and be like, I can't do it. Fuck this. I can't do it. So that's why it's important that we speak about it, and that there are people like Ali who helped me so much with my no contact and just like reminded me. So reach out to Ali if you're like don't know what's going on, if you're confused, if like you suspect even, just please reach out to Ali. Like she's amazing for this.
I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another thing too is like all abusers, no matter what type of abuse that they are enduring, that you are enduring, they all cheat. It's not from lack of trying. Every single one of them cheat. So anytime that you have ever had that intuitional feeling of, okay, my partner is cheating, he's doing this shady shit, and the same behavior is happening over and over and over again, it's not from lack of trying that they don't cheat. They always do, because they take and they want to eat it too.
I had the feeling, but I never like knew. But like I admitted to him, like the one thing that happened during mine was I was so in such a way, and I felt so devalued and just abandoned, that I kissed his best friend, because his best friend was so kind to me all the time, and we became really, really close. And I came out and said it, and I felt really bad. But now I'm thinking, I don't even feel that bad about it. It was definitely something that was the right thing to do when someone so wonderful was in my life when I was being treated so badly. But of course now that's being used against me, like, oh, she cheated on me with my best friend. I'm like, but I've already spoken to you about it and it was okay. And it's just it's like the only ammunition someone can have, right? They'll just hold it and then they'll be like, she's this awful person. And I'm like, I don't even feel bad about it. I don't
And
now.
an awful person never would have admitted it to in the first place.
No,
You know what
I
I
have
mean?
to, it plagued me. Like I have to, but it's not, it's out of character as well for me. It's not something I usually do, but I needed some, I had no love in my life. And like, I'm still really good friends with him. Like I love him to death, this guy. But it's just, you do things that you wouldn't normally do as well.
Yeah. And it's just I know some women and even some men that cheated because they found somebody so nice to them and at such a compassionate and empathetic level that they did cheat, and then they went right back to their abuser and told their abuser everything, and then their abuser actually gets so physically violent with them that they ended up in the hospital. But like it was physical abuse that was going on for years and years before that. And then somebody nice came along. They didn't know what to do with the nicest. They didn't know what to do with the nice person. So like if say that you do escape your relationship, right? And you do start dating again once you find out who you are at a core level. You do some healing and you raise your own vibration, and then you
Hmm.
go ahead and you meet someone new and they're so nice, it feels
Hmm.
fucking weird. It
Yeah,
feels weird because that
yeah.
penny's in the air, you're just waiting for it to just drop, but the penny doesn't drop. The nice person always remains the nice person.
It's just something we're not used to. Like I've never in my life been in a healthy relationship. Crazy. I'm 29. I don't know what it looks like. So when people are nice to me, I'm waiting for them to be mean, or I just don't like it. I'm like I'm not used to that. I kind of like being treated badly at this stage, and that's the fucked up thing. You're used to it, and it feels like home being
Yeah.
treated badly. So it's going to take a lot to get my head into the stage, or a lot of people where they can accept love and not think that there's going to be retribution in some way.
Yeah.
That's kind of how bad this can be.
Like for some people, like for myself even, and I'm sure that you
Mm.
guys can relate to this too, it is so common to feel neglected and discarded and unloved that whenever it finally comes in, it doesn't feel common, it doesn't feel right because you are not used to it. It's never happened before at that
Hmm.
level. But I'm telling you guys, if you stick it out and you stay with that nice person and you know who you are, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
There's
Amazing.
hope. There's hope.
There really is. Because you learn the lessons of love, that you needed to love yourself before you let somebody else love you. You needed to be happy with your own self and know what your happiness is like. And then you can complement your new partner's happiness. That's what it's about.
Wow.
Your partner will always complement your happiness. They will not be your happiness.
Yeah,
If
and that's it.
you are forced, if somebody is forcing you to be their happiness, guess what? They're not for you. I can tell you that they're not for you.
Absolutely. And I feel like on some level, empaths, like, because we like to change people and help people, it got to this really awful point as well where I wanted so much for him to be a certain way that it was making me not myself because he was promising things and not delivering. So I was pushing for those things. So it got kind of toxic on my side as well. Like, to be honest, because I would be like, why are you disappointing me all the time? Why aren't you doing this? And I turned into someone I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And that's violence. I'm aware. Like I can't force anyone to do anything, but I just couldn't let go. So it became really gross on both sides, really. Like the promises and me being annoyed. And because I didn't want to be taken advantage of anymore. I wanted him to contribute financially. I didn't want to have to fucking pay for everything anymore. So I was trying to make him take responsibility for that. But that's violent on my part too. Like I can't make anyone do that. It's much kinder to just walk away. It's
This is where the non-negotiables come in.
mm. Oh, I'm
And
gonna
I
write
love
these
this
down.
part. So whenever you're with a new partner, and say that you guys decide down the road or even in the beginning, right? If you suspect that they are love bombing you and you still want to stick it out because you're that empath, you can help them. You see their pain, you want to help them,
Mm.
right? That's not an educated empath. That's one for destruction. Trust me.
Mm.
Learn from my experiences. So if you decide to move in with that person very quickly, you need to write out a list of non-negotiables, what you are willing to put up with and what you are not willing to put up with. Okay? Because
Okay.
I've seen victims be the maid, the chef, or yeah, the maid, the chef, the gardener, the nanny, the dog walker, like all the above. The only responsibility the male abuser or the female abuser has is solely to bring home an income in which the other partner barely has access to. So the non-negotiables need to come into that. A good, healthy partner will assist you on all the other housework. A good, healthy partner is going to be like, oh, babe, let's treat ourselves this weekend. Let's all go do something fun. And it's a very enjoyable experience, right? Like, I know that we're going to be getting into the sex subject here for a second. So like there are limitations where a lot of men specifically are going to push boundaries within the bedroom. And this hits hard for a lot of people because they don't realize that they're being sexually abused in the first place. So if you do not want to have sexual relations with your partner or your spouse, guess what? You have the ability to say no. You are not obligated to sleep with that partner. Okay?
Such an important thing to say.
It is. And once they start manipulating you and gaslighting you and making them feel bad that you rejected them in the first place, that's where the whole, like, them forcing themselves upon you really comes in. And a lot of people don't even realize that. And then there are some that are like full-blown sexual sadists that don't give two shits of what they're doing to their partner. Because what are they doing? They're devaluing them and humiliating them in the process.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It's bad. Like for me, it made me shut down sexually. I didn't want to, I was completely out of touch with my sensuality. I didn't want to have sex. I was having absolute like crisis. Like I'm not sexy. Because it was withheld so much and used as a weapon. So that was kind of how it worked for me. I know it was it's very different for lots of people, but when it's withheld, used as a weapon, like when it's so good that it's like an addiction, it's very difficult. But it made me like, I've forgotten how to be sexy and independent and those kind of things like that. I just felt like a child. Like I was scared a lot of the time. And I'm only admitting this to myself now, really.
Yeah.
But it's damaging.
You're scared. You want to get warm. You want to like cover up in blankets. You're constantly putting clothes on. Like on a subconscious level, you don't know why you're really doing those things, but it's because you're being humiliated in a setting which should be intimate and loving. That's the whole realistic thing about sex. And that's why it drives me nuts whenever I see people that they're like, oh, well, it's a sexual addiction. If you really study sex addictions, there's no such thing as sexual addiction. It's something completely different. It's an excuse for them to say that, yeah, this is what my real addiction is, and I'm using sex as a way to cover it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
Because they don't want to face the fear of what is really going on within their head in the first place.
It's like avoidance at all costs of what the real issue is.
Yeah.
No matter, like, yeah. Whereas, like, as empaths, like, I love figuring out how I work. I love growing. I love knowing when I'm wrong and taking accountability. And for us, it's so easy to be like, oh my goodness, I was wrong. And to be able to take that feedback and grow and be really honest with ourselves and our partners. But to be with someone not willing to do that with you, even if they say they're doing it and like guising it all as like, I'm spiritual, but really you're just a spiritual narcissist, which is dangerous, then it's very dangerous. And I've met quite a few of those. That's not real. That's not like a connection, like a real spiritual connection where you're growing together. It's one person trying to grow, but really being held back and actually damaged by someone who's not willing to do that with you in the process.
Yeah. And that's a scary part about it too. Is like, I know so many people that come to me and they're like, my abuser is using religion or spirituality to gain control over me. And I was like, that's really Jim Jonesy. And they're like, who's Jim Jones? I was like, oh my God. So, like the spiritual community, I'm very spiritual because I had that whole near-death experience. I was spiritual before that because of some of the experiences I had as a child. But it wasn't until I had the full-blown near-death experience that I felt so connected. And I knew that if I did not learn this life, and Archangel Raphael told me, if you don't learn this life, guess what? You're going to live it in the next one and it's going to be worse. And I'm like, worse? So then I started negotiating. I was like, is my body damaged enough to the point where I wouldn't return? And he's like, you can return to your body. I can put you back in, but it's going to be a lot more heartache. And it is going to be so worse Like it's gonna be very hard for you. And I was like, I want to go back. And I came back, and I just felt like I was hit with a Mack truck. I was bedridden for 2 years. My abuser was nowhere to be around. He was sleeping around with anything with a skirt on.
Oh
And
my God.
it was getting to the point where I had home health nurses and my friends come and assist me, along with physical and occupational therapy and speech therapists come into my home to help me get to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
then,
amazing.
and then the spiritual part still stuck with me. Like, I had that near-death experience, was bedridden for 2 years, and then it, like, 6 years total is what it took me to really leave to get to where I am now.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, 6 years. I should have left a long time ago. And it's insane. But, like, okay, so, like, we'll get into plant medicine a little bit. People will use plant medicine in a way to say that they're spiritual, and they'll use it in such a negative way that it's not what they say that it is. It's used for their own prerogative to have that control over people, and to get them to be like, oh, well, I'm a spiritual person. I participate in all these plant ceremonies, or I guide all these plant ceremonies. And they're doing it for such a negative thing, and then these people are having bad experiences, right?
Yeah.
Religion does the exact same thing. It's just the difference is they go and do blood magic every Sunday or Saturday, and people are like doing black magic in these spiritual ceremonies that are supposed to be full of love and light, when it's not.
Yeah.
It's just complete darkness.
Mm-hmm. It's terrifying that the religious, like the people that are leading these things now, like I see them everywhere, like spiritual, like toxic, narcissistic people who are like under this guise of like, I'm a spiritual leader. It is rife. It's terrifying. And you don't know what spells they're putting on. You don't know what their intention is, not right when they're doing it. So that is terrifying. But we use plant medicines for good and for our deeper healing. And I'm excited to be doing one this Saturday. I'm going to be going real deep with mushrooms this Saturday to just try and remove some of that trauma, because they're here, if they're used for the right reasons, they're here to guide and help us, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Intention is everything, right?
It's so crazy. And like, even like, okay, so like say that you are with a partner who is deeply religious or deeply spiritual, and they're doing it for their own prerogative, and it's not for the greater good of mankind. What they're going to do is they're going to use a tactic to desensitize you to all of that within the... Oh, my dog sneezes scared me. It's going to desensitize you to that point entirely. And desensitizing somebody does not happen overnight. Desensitizing somebody takes at least a couple months to fully desensitize them. So if you get back deeply religious into your faith, say that you are a religious person and that you are full of love, right? And you go back to whatever faith that you decide, or you decide to participate in plant medicine, a lot of that sensitization of everything that happened is going to come up, and you're going to think about it. That's where it's going to be heavy. And that's where this comes back in. You just write down everything that you remember, baby. Everything that you remember.
I'm scared because so much of it we block out, don't we? We like don't want to remember it.
It's not only like blocked out and suppressed, it's also to the point where like we were gaslit for so long, and our perception was changed for so long, and we also changed ourselves to fit their wants and needs for however many years or however many months, that we lost ourselves along the way. Doing something like getting back into your faith, or doing like plant medicine ceremonies, or getting back into your deep spirituality for the greater good of everybody and also yourself, you're going to remember a lot of things. And that's where you need to remember that you are a love being, that you are here to learn the laws of love, and that you just need to stay focused onto that, because then you purge all that desensitivity of everything that you're just like, no, that person said this about me. That's not me. I know who I am. And whatever they say doesn't bother me anymore.
I love it because it is all love. And that's something that narcissists are incapable of. They have no love. And then we're so loving. So how can we be wrong when we're just trying to live off this premise that everything is love? Like, we have so much love, and that's why they want it for themselves.
Of course.
But it's crazy. Like that thing you told me earlier when we were speaking, and you were talking about the brain and the heart. Yeah. And like, that's a good question to put to people, because when you said that to me, I was shook. I was like,
So
Perspective.
Okay. So you have the neurons in your heart and you have the neurons in your brain, right, people? When your heart and your brain disconnect from one another, because your brain is such a polarity organ, it sees the good and the bad. It's such a polarity organ that you are going to outweigh what is good and what is bad, and it's going to go back and forth, no matter what the situation is. That's how our thought processes are on a conscious level, also on a subconscious level. So whenever your brain disconnects from your heart, because your heart records everything, and when I mean everything, every bad experience, every good experience, anything that was kind of like mediocre, any dangerous situation that you've ever been in, your heart knows it. So when your heart and your brain disconnect together, that's whenever you stay in the traumatic relationships for as long as you do. That's whenever you feel like that you are not worthy of being with anybody else. That's whenever you feel like that you do not deserve to have the things that you do in life, and that you do not deserve to live a happy life. That's whenever the brain and the heart disconnect from one another. And any sort of trauma like that is going to disconnect the heart and the brain. So there's exercises that you can do that I do with clients to help connect their brain and their heart back together. And when you do something like that, your heart then has like this life spark flame. It's literally like a flame, and it just ignites in your heart just like a lighter does. And it's so cool because you feel it on that level. So
It's so powerful.
It is insanely powerful. I love it. Especially like if you are sensitive to the moon cycles and you do it on a particular moon cycle that you are more sensitive to, it intensifies that. Yeah. Right? So like another thing that you could do, your water, you guys see me drinking this. It's from glass, right? All you have to do is say, I love you, water. Thank you for being here and nourishing my body. And now you're drinking the vibration of love. I do the same thing with my ice cubes. I tell my ice cubes, I love you before I drink them or before I freeze them, because it freezes the vibration of love. So there are certain things that you can do to start adding things into your life, like mirror gazing. Like I talked to you about this, how incredible it is to mirror gaze, how we look at ourselves briefly in the mirror every day, but we don't take full effect into how we look, right? So if you look in your left eye is your left eye is your giving eye, your right eye is your receiving eye. So whenever you look into your left eye, backwards, I'm sorry. Your left eye is your receiving eye. So whenever you are looking into your left eye, you are receiving the information of what is going on into your body. Mm-hmm. If you are unable to look at your left eye in the mirror for less than 5 seconds, we got a lot of self-love to do. We got a lot of self-love. And then over time, what you're going to do is you're going to continue to look in your left eye into the mirror, and you're going to work your way up. Like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And once you reach those 10 to 15 minutes, you'll notice that your whole reality around you shifts, and you actually get to see who you are at a soul level. It's so insane. And that's sober. You don't even have to be on psychedelics. You don't have to do anything like that. That is sober. You get to see who you are at a core level, and you get to see your soul just from mirror gazing into your left eye.
Mm-hmm. And it's tough at first. I found it really hard to even do 5-10 seconds, but now I'm on to 30, 45, and I'm like, oh, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah. So I got to show you guys this. So I do soul talk mantras, right? And the soul talk mantra is completely different than the I am affirmations. Whenever you are talking to your soul, you do you are affirmations. All right. So you see this? It says, you are beautiful. You are valued. You are worthy. You are loved in my heart. Right. I look at myself in the mirror every day and say that for 21 days. Because I'm talking to my soul.
That gave me goosebumps. Yeah. I'm gonna write it all over my mirror. I love that. That is so, and how easy is that? But you're reprogramming your mind to believe and really feel this at a soul level. Because it's just remembering who we are, and the heart is everything. And mine truly feels like it's unclenched, like it was so tight, and it feels like it's opening again, like it's safe to open. Yeah. And that's with the help of you, Ali. You're amazing. I'm really worried that this is going to cut off because we've only got an hour. But to everyone here, please reach out to Ali. She's an angel. And of course, like we can do this again. I want to open this to anyone out there who's struggling with these things as well. Reach out to me. I'd love to speak to you. Oh, I've got 27 seconds remaining. We need to bring more awareness to this, and just so people know that it's not uncommon, but it should be stopped, and we need to empower each other so that we have the strength to walk away from things that aren't serving us at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you find the strength and once you make the decision to find you, it's so much easier. And then, like, if you guys need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me through Instagram, or you can just go up to the